At 8:30, we will call the order of the Land, Water, Forest Resource Committee meeting. Then do the roll call.
Jesse Betcher.
Here.
Ed Peters.
Here.
Jason Weaver. Mark Helwig.
Here.
Brian Bissonette.
Here.
Kevin Shepard.
Here.
We have a quorum.
I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. This meeting has been noticed to the public and news media as required by section 19.84 of the Wisconsin statutes.
Hey, public comments at this time. Members of the public will be given the opportunity to address the committee on items not on the agenda. Do you have anybody? Public comment? Anybody online? No hands up. Okay. It's number 6, consideration of for approval of the previous meeting minutes.
I'll move to approve.
Got a first and a second. Over approval. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Number 7, any events to discuss? Not this month. Okay, continue on to the excuse me, county surveyor.
Nothing really to report. Survey crew has been working down winter and draper, tax season, so actually follow the message. That's about it.
Okay, rolling on to our county forestry department.
Hey. Well, I don't have anything specific for recreational trails report outside of my monthly. Our rep has info.
Not a whole lot to say other than we've been signing. We've been on a campaign to re-sign all of Sealy Hills. That's a lot of club work going on and crushing and just preparing for the snowmobile season. That's it.
Okay. And then the county forestry report, so.
Yep, so we had 12 sales listed as active in September. Activity levels are starting to pick up. Sale value sold and uncut on file right now is a little over 4.6 million. Revenue for the month was 197,000. Our year to date, we cracked $1 million here this month, so we're a little bit off target yet from previous years, but with the activity levels picking up, I think we're going to be all right with our revenue projection right now. Sale inspections are on target for the level of activity. We did have 4 new tracks turned in for review and approval. Several of these will be on our fall timber sale prospectus that is out right now. Our bid opening date is on November 1st. With approval from Land, Water, Forestry Committee on that 9th, I believe it is. So recon acres, we're over goal on that for the month, for the year. We're still moving along with our good neighbor authority. We had a few hours put in working on our new contract there. Oak wilt, we did treat 3 new oak wilt pockets with it's a rapid response treatment. It's a little different than what we've been doing in the past, where we're just treating the actual infected tree instead of the big groups of them. So we're seeing how that's working out. If we're fast enough with the discovery and the treatment, they seem to be pretty effective with a lot less labor intensive work for it. So other than that, I don't have anything to report.
Mr. Betcher, any questions?
Yeah, hey Greg, any updates on the emerald ash borer? Anything new there?
Nothing new. We did discuss it. We had our partnership meeting a couple of weeks ago, and Paul Segan with the DNR was there. Here's the, what's his title?
Forest Health Specialist.
Forest Health Specialist. And we did talk about that infestation by Moose Lake, but they're just still monitoring it. He indicated that it seemed like it had been there for a few years already, that it's, wasn't a new infestation, so not entirely sure where it came from or where it's gonna go from here, but we're still, state's still monitoring, we still monitor, so at this point.
Okay.
Looking for, the only way we can tell, we're not doing the traps anymore, but just discovering dieback pockets in black ash, things like that.
Okay, thanks.
Yep.
Okay, it looks like our next item is closed session.
I don't, for the trail right away, I don't have anything new to add this month. Been working on some other things. Unless Greg had anything new.
No, I don't.
If not, we can skip that one.
Okay. How about the forest land purchase? That was in closed session for that.
Yep, we'll have a brief closed session and then I think we'll be ready to take action in open session.
Okay. Make a motion.
I'll make a motion to go into closed session.
Okay, we have first and second. Need a.
Roll call.
Thank you.
Hey, Jesse Betcher,
Yes.
Ed Peters,
Yes.
Mark Helwig,
Yes.
Brian Bissonette.
No.
Kevin Shepard.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
This time we're going to close it. Do I need to read this?
I'll write it in this minute.
Okay.
Closed session.
Okay, so now we,
Closed session at 8:40 p.m. a.m.
now we want to make a motion on what we discussed during the closed session.
I move that we forward the land purchase agreement to the county, full county board for. I'm sorry.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion is approved. Next, we go back to DNR forest reports, September 22.
Okay, introduce myself. I'm David Totis. I've been here a couple of times recently.
Dave, could you spell your last name again?
TODUS,
Thank you.
filling in for Roy. So Roy typed up a sheet here. For the DNR report, Monday, September 26th, the DNR and the County Forestry Department and others held the annual partnership meeting. Topics that were discussed was the Scovia Trail, some wildlife management, forest health issues, EAB and Oakville, the 2022 forest certification audit and draft findings. Minutes will be presented to the Land, Water, and Forestry Committee by the Forest Administrator when application for the Forester Administrator grant is submitted. Got a couple of things on what's going on in wildlife. Hunting seasons are underway. Bear, archery, deer, waterfowl, small game, fall turkey. Dry land trapping and elk hunting opens October 15th. Summer deer surveys continue through September 31st. Some wildlife habitat work that we've been doing on the Sawyer County Forest includes, we've been working on some burn break construction for some of the prescribed burns earmarked in the queue for spring, as well as oak scarification site prep. We're just about completed with that. We should be done next week. CWD and carcass disposal with the opening of the deer harvest season, hunter service, CWD sampling is available by request For the 24-hour, 7-day-a-week CWD kiosk. Kiosks are located at Hayward DNR Service Center and at the Winter Ranger Station. Additionally, deer carcass disposal dumpsters will be available at the DNR Service Center starting mid-October and the Winter Ranger Station in early November. A little bit of recreation, the Connors Creek ATV Bridge on the Flambeau River State Forest, scheduled for completion October 7th. And I don't have an update if that's been completed or not. Fisheries. Fisheries, as well as some forestry equipment's been working on 2 canoe kayak landings that are going to be constructed on the Coudray River. One located at Mapes Road in Coudray and one in Ojibwa Park in Radisson. Both facilities will be ADA accessible and approximately 5 miles apart on the water. The start of construction has started Monday, October 3rd, and should be completed, should have been completed by this last weekend. And that's all we have for the DNR.
Any questions on the DNR report?
I do. I was trying to look it up. You guys heard anything about the, I think it's called PhD, affecting the whitetail birds, especially right now in Illinois? Have you guys getting any reports on that? They said that it's well, not decimating, but it's hitting the whitetail population in Illinois central Illinois pretty bad right now. I haven't heard anything about it really.
Yeah, personally, I haven't heard about it, but I can.
Yeah, it's transmitted by midges. Yeah, fighting midges, and we had this year I haven't seen much in the way of fighting midges, thankfully. But it is something I know that it is a major problem in Nebraska, and they come down and try and get water, and then they generally die. And then soon
I can, yeah, I can let Roy know and can talk to a wildlife biologist and bring it up at next session.
Is colder climate up here in our favor? I think the cooler conditions this year have been beneficial for that. Yeah, because what they were saying in the article that I was reading is that they were waiting for the first freeze. So.
Any other questions? Okay, we move on to zoning conversation.
Yeah, we had a very busy September and October. Conservation staff is still working on the Grindstone Lake Management Plan, and I do have a slideshow to show here regarding the Upper Bruni River Dam. So we did our drawdown. That drawdown was started late September, early October. Actually, no, I'm sorry, early September into mid-September. So this is Lake Loretta. This is already with about a 3 to 4 foot drawdown. We used the excavator with help of the town of Draper. We were able to pull the larger stop logs out of the bays at the dam. So we hook on this the chain to the log puller. I don't know the scientific name for this contraption, but this would then hook onto the pegs for the actual stop logs, and we were able to remove them. Not a fun process, but we were able to get it done and had no issues with actually doing it. So that always works out well.
That's definitely a safer and more comfortable way to do it.
Yeah,
I was involved with the front end loader, and that was not a really
Yeah, and the old process was using, you can see on that top rail, it's actually a kind of a trolley cart. And we would end up having a winch just on that trolley and have to slide those logs all the way to the edge of the edge of the berm, the edge of that wing wall. But the trolley never went far enough. So we had half of the logs sticking over the wing wall, and I mean, these logs are 300 pounds each with that other log grabber. You're talking about a 500-pound apparatus, so this worked out a lot better. You can see that's one getting pulled out. And kind of slide them over to the side and we load them on a trailer. So we are reusing 2 bays of the stop logs. We actually car wash them. We're going to replace the seals on them, and they'll actually be reinstalled into bays 3 and 4. Bays 1 and 2 will have the stainless steel gates. The hope is that we never have to touch these stop logs again unless we have another major repair project 20-30 years in the future. Because those gates will be the easier mechanism for water control. But this was a every other day process for 2.5 weeks because we did have a 6-inch drawdown maximum per day. So it wasn't that we could go out there and, you know, pop a dozen of these logs at a time, because we'd be dropping the water more than 6 inches at a time, or 6 inches in a 24-hour event. So here are some of the other issues that we've now found with the drawdown. There are some major cracks that were not observed when the water was at full pool. This is in bay 1. This is a major fall, major crack in that the main structural support of the dam. There's another crack on bay 2. This is the other side of bay 2 with the red circle. So we do have quite a bit of cracking that is occurring that we did not anticipate. Because again, the water level, I don't know if you can see my mouse, the water level is right here. Right on that line. So I mean, this was never really able to be viewed without the drawdown occurring. When the drawdown did complete, the main river channel was turned back into the main river channel, and there was some fish that had gotten stranded. It's a little bit deeper through here, and as it gets down towards the dam, it kind of comes back up, and there's some rocks that kind of impede fish from getting through that and further downstream. So with Max Wolters, DNR fishery biologist, we did a relocation project where we seined fish out of that main river channel and moved them further downstream. Will now be residents of the downstream Bruni River. Fun, interesting project to say the least. There was some pretty nice fish that were still in there. This is a probably upper 30s, maybe even a lower 40-inch muskie. You can see here on the right. We relocated a dozen muskies, around 15 largemouth bass, some of those being really good size 4-pounders, and over 100 plus panfish, crappies, bluegills, perch. There you can see that, and over hundreds of those panfish. The repair work is starting. They're doing sounding and shotcrete right now. Sounding is where you basically take a big hammer and start pounding on the concrete and pound until it stops falling apart. And that is to break off the loose concrete so that a new concrete can be adhered to that. So they have started that project. They are removing the upper trolley system because ultimately it was kind of a pain. It never worked out well in the past. And if we do have an emergency where we need to remove stop logs, it'll be much easier to use the excavator, whether it's the town, whether it's the county, whether we go and rent one for the day. It's going to be a much easier process than that trolley system. So we did remove the trolley. You can see, some of that repair work again. That was one of the large cracks. This is bay 2. This is bay 1. So we're still, having the contractors take a look at that damage that we didn't see before and seeing kind of what the best course of action is to repair that in connection with our engineer on the project. So I'll go back to this one. That's kind of a little bit of a foot in the door that we may be coming back with some change orders. Because we weren't able to observe the larger cracks and the need to repair those cracks, we may be coming back and asking more money on this project. So
is it repair or replace, or you don't know at this point?
So at this point, I would say this is a major repair. Before it was kind of a moderate repair. Now it's a major repair. I would say 50%, 75% of it, the initial or the existing dam structure will remain. But some of this cracking is pretty severe where we have to fix and go back to see where that crack started from and fix it all the way back from there. So that's one of, I mean, this is one of the cracks that they found, but I mean, this crack, goes almost a foot deep where they're gonna have to rebuild that portion of where the gate will sit on. I don't know, again, the scientific name for what this portion of the dam would be called, but again, that's the same in Bay 1 where there are major cracks where they're gonna have to chase that crack back in order to replace that concrete. We had another busy project, and that was the Nelson Lake bog removal too. There was a large bog that was stuck in front of the dam on Nelson Lake. Tim and Pat from our office, with help of the Nelson Lake Association, used a series of forks and whatever they could get to grab this in here and break it off chunk by chunk. I mean, this is one of the little chunks that they're trying to break off of a larger floating bog. Nelson Lake's kind of weird with these bogs. They're just roof masses, old lily pad masses. They don't have a lot of weight to them, and they generally are on the bottom of Nelson Lake, and every once in a while one of these things will pop up and they'll start floating, and be it the outlet of the lake, they end up wanting to get stuck right in front of the dam. And when that's in front of the dam, we really can't manipulate water levels that well, so we had to get it out of there. A little side note then too with Nelson Lake, we did talk about a 2-foot drawdown at this committee a few months back. The Nelson Lake Association wanted to see a 2-foot drawdown every other year to potentially help walleye spawning habitat. We brought that petition or that request to the DNR, and the DNR said no, that there's not enough scientific evidence that a drawdown would facilitate any type of additional walleye habitat spawning, and the additional water downstream would be more detrimental. So we will not be doing the drawdown.
What is the milfoil in Nelson Lake?
There's a few patches. It's not severe. It's not as severe as other bodies of water. Now that would be something that I guess, if Nelson Lake Association or Nelson Lake did have more milfoil, not only could we say that we're doing a drawdown for walleye habitat spawning, but also for milfoil reduction. And I think
actually worked pretty good on the flow.
I've seen that it did work out well. Now I don't know if it would have to be more than a 2-footer then. If it'd have to be somewhere in the area of the 6-footer, and there was some pros and cons when we did a drawdown 2 years ago on Nelson. We did a 6-foot drawdown. Max Walters, the DNR fisheries biologist, wanted to see if this would improve walleye habitat spawning. While when you draw down that lake level, you're giving more oxygen to the near shore activities for when the water comes back up in spring. That helps potential walleye production. But with that drawdown, it did kind of centralize a lot of the fish in the winter months that made them very easily harvested by ice fishermen. So there was some pros and cons to that approach. And that's all I have for that slideshow. Any questions on that or the Upper Bruin River or anything else related to zoning conservation?
Hey Jay, this is Jesse.
Yes.
Sorry if you mentioned it, but with all that additional damage that we've noticed on the Brunei Dam, was that going to increase? Are we going to incur more costs with those or not? And I'm sorry if you mentioned that.
Yeah, I would say that we probably are. We probably will see a change order for the additional concrete that'll be needed for those repairs.
Okay.
I don't have a number to work off of, but just when we started doing the drawdown and seeing those cracks that we didn't see before, cracks equal dollars, and they weren't identified earlier.
And is that something we'd probably get some reimbursement from the DNR?
Yes, potentially 25%. We're already over the 50% threshold, so now we're reimbursement at a 25% threshold. Now, is this going to cost us $20,000 more? Is it going to cost us $200,000 more? I don't know yet at this point. And I'll certainly be working with Andy once we get the official change order request, because any kind of change order like that will have to run back through committees and through county board to find the additional funding.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
That was a question I just asked Andy over the got change orders, because you don't want to sit there. You got a change order, you're in the middle of a project, now you gotta wait till next committee meeting, and so how does that work?
There's no, like, I mean, we have change orders going on with the building project, but there's a contingency fund there to work with. Is there contingency? I don't remember.
There's a small amount of contingency. Now, ultimately, you have to do the repairs.
Yeah.
There's no ifs, ands, or buts or ways around it. Ultimately, some of those larger ticket items are, part of the stainless steel gates. We could go back from stainless steel to, just steel gate or painted steel gates. There could be some offsetting of costs there. Our engineer, Larry Gotham, he's wonderful to work with. He's looking at other areas too, where they called for 12 inches of that shotcrete, which is basically spray on concrete, 12 inches around the whole dam. There's some areas that they found that, hey, they could probably get away with just doing 2 inches in certain areas to potentially offset some costs for these other major cracks that we found. So we're trying to stay within the anticipated budget that we had, but it is difficult.
I was just going by what you were saying, that we don't know if it's 20,000 or 200,000.
Right.
So I realize you probably got a 10% contingency in the project, right?
We do. I don't think it was 10%. I think it was a little bit less than that, but
Okay, well, your contingency isn't a whole lot of money at
No.
that point. So yeah, I get offsetting, wherever you can, so.
that's what we're working on right now, is doing those offsets, and we'll bring more information to this committee when it arises. So,
What is the timeline for? When they can come back to us tomorrow with, this is what we think it's gonna cost for the additional work, and then really.
yeah, and I'll touch base with Larry, and I can then touch base with you as far as, what the contractor is telling him. Some of the largest ticket items, though, were in the fabrication of the stainless steel gates and the installing of the gates. That's the $250,400,000 price tag on the gates.
Is all the concrete work anticipated to be done this fall yet? Or?
It is, yeah. So the only thing that's happening after winter is the gate installation next spring. So the gates will be reinstalled, there'll be some riprap and some erosion matting that's conducted, and then the stop logs will be reinstalled. But the concrete work is done this fall, weather permitting, which so far so good.
I can change in a day.
Right. And it sounds like you might.
I
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're in 70 degrees.
So. Next item is the wildlife damage.
Yeah, wildlife damage. We have this kind of conversation every fall, and I have Seth from USDA to kind of run through some of those procedures.
Good morning. Can everybody hear me?
Yep.
So yeah, the wildlife damage budget for 2023. I'm sure most of the committee is aware, but if not, I'll just mention again that this is pass-through funding from the state. So it doesn't directly impact the county's finances. And this is basically a reflection of our operating costs in the county to assist farmers with wildlife damage throughout the year.
Yes, we have 3 different items that all require potential discussion and action. The first is for approval of the 2023 wildlife damage budget. So again, I need a motion from this committee to approve said budget. Unless there's additional questions on it, but again, it is pass-through money. This is done through a state grant, where we contract out the services of APHIS to do the wildlife damage. Then the state reimburses us, then pay.
Does this go to the county board also?
It hasn't in the past. It is just done to this committee because it is passed through. It doesn't affect the budget, the county budget.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion.
I guess you have a couple of questions that. Well, what we're approving then is the 85,950 or the 95,565.
I would, I would recommend that the motion be for the 95,000, just since that's a total approved funding.
So we have a motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Right, it has passed.
There are 2 pages on that document that I'll need a signature from the county chair or vice chair, please.
Next. Crop prices.
Next, yes, next item, 2022 crop prices. Excuse me, these, excuse me. These prices are generated either through a yearly average that I maintain, drawing upon several local mills nearest to the county seat throughout the year, September, and or current spot prices. And I usually propose whichever price is highest, just for the benefit of the farmer. These price proposals are just a starting point. It is certainly at the committee's discretion to move those prices around and set them wherever they feel is most appropriate if they think that change needs to be made.
So we need a motion on to set the price then?
Correct.
And Seth's recommendation there is the average, as you can see on the bottom. Hold on, I didn't go off on that.
Motion,
I'll make the motion to approve it.
okay, we got a motion. A second. I'll second that.
Do we have you or Ryan? Which would you like?
Brian. Okay, we have a motion approved. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Passes. Any questions? Okay, the next item. 22 damage assessment deadline, discussion, possible action.
So the state statute and administrative code requires the county to set a closing date as far as when the last possible date that claims can be requested or a damage assessment can be requested. There's 2 criteria that the county has to adhere to. One being that the county can set the date either when 90% of the crops within the county have been harvested, which is somewhat difficult to ascertain, or prior to the onset of winter. This year, as many of you are aware, we had a wet, cold spring, which delayed planting, and also some areas of the county did experience drought conditions, which delayed crop maturity. And so my recommendation would be to set the deadline assessment date for the last possible day, which would be December 20th.
Need us to motion for
Motion to set that date.
I'll move that we set the date for abatement claims at December 20th. Sorry.
Okay, we have motion and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
USDA report.
Next Tuesday, October 18th, will be our monthly committee meeting. We're gonna appoint a new CCD, just temporary until the state can get us a new one. We're still talking about keeping the 3 offices like Ruston Sawyer, Chippewa, Claire all together as one office. Eau Claire wanted to split off from us because they figured they were big enough to handle their own business on their own and stuff, but we turned that one down. We want to keep it all together. Just a couple other dates here that are coming up here is October 31st. organic certification cost sharing program will come to an end. November 11th, the USD offices will be closed for Veterans Day. And then November 15th, acreage reporting deadline for mint seeds and fall seeds for small grains for year 2023 coming out. That's about it.
Any questions? Okay, go on to the LCO report, Ryan.
Probably of interest to the public would be we have 5 ponds at our fish hatchery that were stocked this year. We emptied one of them. We have we stocked approximately 7,000 extended Gulf walleye and big lake Cuda. I've been talking to the fisheries biologists yet to find out where the rest of them are going to go. So we still have 4 ponds to drain, and so that'll probably happen next week. Otherwise, we'll be ice fishing. And so it's so next month I'll be able to give you a better total of where they were at. So that luckily we haven't had a lot of bear reports lately, so trapping bears kind of went by the wayside over the last month. And then nothing new to report on the ATV. Nothing's changed as far as people being able to use the routes that were previously approved. We have our legal department has extended an invitation to meet the town chairs from 4 townships: Cleary, Radisson, Hunter, and Sand Lake. As of yesterday, nobody's responded yet, so hopefully that meeting will happen pretty soon. So outside of that,
Will the Alliance be involved in that at all, or is that?
I don't think I have a choice in that.
Ryan.
Yeah.
No, in fact, Chris had emailed me last week or texted me last week, said he wanted to set up a meeting with you.
Jason Weaver today at 4:30,
Yeah, is that still on? Because
as
nobody.
far as I know,
Okay, we're at,
big fish.
okay, oh, that's right. So
I'm planning to be there.
I guess I am too now. So yeah, no, we involved in the so.
Okay, any questions for Ryan? None at this time. Looks like we're going into. Do we need to go into closed session for the?
We do, we have a council joining us. I had given them a time of 9:30 as an estimate. So we're running a little ahead, so I messaged him a few minutes ago, telling him he could log on, but he's not on yet. So if it would be permissible, can we drop down to 12 and come back to 11?
Sure, sounds good. So we'll jump down to 12 at this time, the 2023 budget update.
Yeah, I can take that. So each of the departments represented here put forth basically status quo budgets. Nobody asked for any staffing, nothing. So we're recommending everything go forward as proposed. The only exception from what the departments put in is from that time till now, we negotiated pretty hard on health insurance. And we saved about 16,500 among those groups. So that's a reduction from what the budget proposal is. So that's the only change we've got.
I speak a little longer. We're trying to use some time.
Okay, go line by line, I guess.
All right, thank you. Any questions on that from anybody? Fine report. Okay,
Well, on the budget, I got a quick question. So I'm sorry if you said it already. I'm having trouble hearing on this end, but is this the same numbers as last year or previous years? Are they commensurate, or is there any significant change here?
There's no significant change, no staffing increases, nothing was asked for that wasn't in previous budgets. The only difference really is staff salary increases, this normal increase. And we were able to negotiate down insurance from what it was going to be to what we currently have budgeted, which saved about $16,000 off of what was presented last month to the county board.
Okay, it saved 16,000 what was presented, but what's the bottom line compared to last year's budget?
The bottom line for all of these departments is a net increase of $23,500 over last year. From
Oh, that's nothing.
1.641 to 1.665.
All right, that's dust. That's budget dust right there. That's nothing.
Well, it's very doable, yeah.
So any other questions or finance gentlemen?
It always seemed like insurance was the killer for
Yes.
all the departments every year or.
We've had a couple good years of utilization where we were able to negotiate and push back pretty hard on the renewal. So we're actually gonna get a 2.5% renewal, it looks like. We're not done negotiating yet, but keep pushing, but that's pretty good. We've had some double digit ones in the past. So.
Okay, our legal person still not on? Good.
Not see him, I'm gonna try for a phone call now.
Okay.
Hey, Mr. Helwig, do you think it might be prudent to just go on a recess for 8 minutes until 9:30? I'm just asking if you think that makes sense instead of just sitting there staring at each other across the table.
Okay, no, that's fine by me. And he's trying to get the gentleman on, but let's go ahead. Sound good to you guys? Go into an 8-minute recess. Go through 8-minute recess, come back at 9:30. Okay. We go in closed session, correct?
Right, correct.
Need a motion to go into closed session? First, we got second. Okay.
Mike.
All in favor, say aye.
We need a roll call vote, I think, for this.
We do.
Mark.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Betcher,
Yes.
Mr. Peters,
Yes.
Mr. Helwig,
Yes.
Mr. Bissonnette.
Yes.
Mr. Shepherd.
Yes. Okay, we are now in closed session. So the land one we can keep.
Yes, but the additional.
Yeah, yep, both pages.
They will get to turn that. Okay. Any future agenda item? Got, this is be back on the next month's agenda. Any correspondence, reports, conferences, meetings? If none, we adjourn. Thank you very much. Thank you for your patience, everyone.